Biblically accurate angels. As I alluded to before, angels as described in the Bible do not look like the cute little humans with halos and wings. They look a little bit more like this. Good luck sleeping tonight! Revelations is metaphorical. This is an interpretation of the Book of Revelation. I just realized that rhymes. Pretty nice one. This is the belief that it's all symbolic. That's not really gonna happen. But like, I don't know. End of the world? If it doesn't end through this way, then how will it end? Actually, on second thought, don't answer that. The disciples wrote the Bible. This is the traditional attribution, which again, I believe. We've been over this, so let's just move on. Jesus never said he was God. This is a claim debated that Jesus never explicitly said he was God, which, you know, I guess kind of a lot of what he says is pretty implicit, but like, not so much so. He makes it pretty clear that he is the Son of God the Father, and thus is God the Son. Like, I think it's pretty clear, so I don't know if, like, Jesus never said he was God is a really accurate thing to say. Amenhotep. I probably butchered the name, but apparently this was an Egyptian pharaoh, and he's often linked to a lot of fringe theories around the Bible and a lot of its figures. I'm not going to go over them because this video is long enough as it is, but if you want me to go into them in a later video, just comment down below. Number of God. There's speculation that alongside the number of the beast, there's a number of God, and that is usually like 777 or just 7 or 3, but none of that's like actually confirmed. Samson was not good. This is a reassessment of some of the judges in the self-titled book of Judges, particularly the judge Samson, and that he wasn't actually a good guy. And if you read that book, that kinda might come to light for you. It's more so ambiguous and morally gray, but still, he's not like some hero or anything like that. That's definitely not true. Moses isn't real. Again, many people view certain biblical figures, like Jesus, for example, to be mythological, even though, again, we know it's not true. And that's the same for Moses, who, again, it's been proven that Moses was a real person. At least, like, even if there's question on if the book of Exodus, as we know it happened, there's question on if that's mythological. I believe it's true, but Moses was definitely real. So, yeah. Lost tribes of Israel. There were 10 extra tribes of Israel who were deported by Assyria, and thus they were lost, and no one knows what happened to them. Maybe they just, went on to form other ethnicities later on, or maybe they just, were wiped out somehow. We don't know, but that is why they are the lost tribes of Israel. Abraham's bosom. This is a term from Luke chapter 16, verse 22. It's symbolic and it means a place of comfort in the afterlife. It doesn't mean you're actually snuggled into the chest of Abraham, because that'd be kind of weird, right? Jesus quotes 2nd Esdras. This is a possible allusion, or parallel, I suppose, between Jesus' words and apocryphal text, and, well, the allusions aren't the strongest, I'd say. I definitely could kind of see why people would think that the two are connected, but I don't know. I don't have much of an opinion on that. 7 days incorrect translation. This is the argument that day, known as Yom in Hebrew, in Genesis 1 allows for longer periods, because Yom, it can mean a day or it can mean an indefined period of time, and that works a lot for like old Earth creationists who say maybe the Yom was like millions of years, right? That makes a lot more sense, honestly. Carry chairs to impress. this really isn't that biblical. It's more of a cultural belief of, you carry chairs or stuff like that around, you'll impress God or impress women or whatnot. I could not for the life of me tell ya any more in relation to Christianity beyond that, so moving on. Noah equals Gilgamesh. Supposedly, there are people who connect the story of Gilgamesh with Noah, that they have a similar story. And I've actually read the Epic of Gilgamesh, so I can confirm there are some parallels, and, maybe the person who wrote it actually got some of their ideas passed down from Noah's Ark, maybe. It's possible, because both came from the Middle East, but, that's just a theory. Satan is beautiful. Some people think Satan still looks beautiful, as I mentioned before. There are depictions of him in, Ezekiel 28 or 2 Corinthians chapter 11, where he's an angel of light. Some people think he never lost his beauty, but again, can you think of anything more punishing to go from this to this? I could not for the life of me tell ya. Pyramids before flood. Supposedly, some people believe that before the flood happened, the Egyptians already built the pyramids, because they were millennia old, and thus, young Earth creationists believe that the Earth is millennia old, so it lines up. But again, I'm not a young Earth creationist, so moving on. Jesus is historical fact. Jesus existed. I've mentioned this plenty of times now, so let's just move on. The fruit wasn't an apple. This is a common correction because the forbidden fruit, it was never specified to be an apple. It could be any sort of fruit, really. So yeah, if you were gonna take your anger out on apples for there being sin, don't, because we don't even know that. And even if it did, don't blame all apples. One bad apple does not ruin the whole bunch. Israelites were slaves for 112 years. That's what a lot of historians calculate was the amount of time that Israelites were enslaved by Egyptians. Though traditionally some believe it to be 400 or 430 years, it could be any of those. Heaven through works. This is a belief usually held by Catholics and whatnot that believe to be saved you have to do good works, and thus that's the reason why people should do good works. I don't believe that. I believe you should do good works because they're the right thing to do. And besides, what's the point of Jesus dying and giving us his grace if you don't get it anyway? What was the point of him dying if, before and after, you had to do good works to get into heaven? Because a lot of, Jews believe in, good works, so, it really makes no sense. I believe it's saved through grace, and, if any Catholics want to debate me in the comments, go ahead, I'll listen to your arguments. Mary was always a virgin. This is the belief, particularly by Catholics and Orthodox people who venerate Mary. They say she was always a virgin. She never had sex. And I will admit, I don't think you need to venerate Mary to acknowledge that because, again, there's no recorded evidence of her ever having sex. So, yeah, she probably was a virgin her whole life, And, that's just cool, I guess, that she never fell to lust or sin or anything like that. Well, she probably fell to sin because she was human, but still, very good on you, Mary. I'm glad you kept it up. Demons are mental health problems. A lot of modern psychologists believe that a lot of recorded demonic attacks are just people with, schizophrenia or something like that. They're just having mental health issues. I do kind of believe that because from what I could find, according to, actual demons, supposedly it's not just what you see in The Exorcist. They're not flailing around or puking up pea soup or anything like that. Supposedly it's a lot more calculated. The demon takes control of you. It makes you do bad things in concealed ways, which is a lot more likely just because that's smarter, They don't even know you're possessed, so you can do more damage. So yeah, I feel a lot of the demonic possessions people record probably are just people with mental health issues. so we should be giving them help, not an exorcist, okay? I haven't even really seen The Exorcist, I just know some of the scenes from that movie, but, you know, if it's a good movie, maybe I'll watch the rest of it. Satan goes to hell. Satan went to hell, and that's where he is now. I mean, I think it's pretty well known amongst everyone, but it's proven in Revelation 20, so yeah, you know, there's your proof. Gilgamesh copy Noah. Again, like, people will say the Book of Gilgamesh, it's the same as the Book of Noah, and I can see the parallels, so again, you know, we've been over this, let's move on to the next one. Isaiah chapter 53. This is the famous suffering servant passage, and it's often seen by Christians as a prophecy for Jesus, like, they knew he was coming, so you Jews better believe in Jesus, and like, I kinda agree, like, in your own book, guys, it's pretty clear that Jesus is the Messiah, so, you know, if you're waiting around for him, don't. He was already here, you already got what you need, so come on, join the church, guys. We offer free pancake breakfasts and whatnot. Q. This is a hypothetical source document for material common to Matthew and Luke. I can't really explain a whole lot more than that, but yeah, Q. The cross was a T. This is a debate over the shape of the crucifixion cross, and, you know, most people believe it's like that usual T you see, though many others will debate that it was a different shape. Heck, even Peter's cross was the upside-down cross that was hijacked by Satanists, so yeah, Satanists are stealing from Christianity, as if you didn't hate them enough, right? Adam and Eve had no belly buttons. Supposedly because they were not born from a placenta, Adam and Eve had no belly button. I don't really think that matters that much, but okay. World is round. The world is round, okay? Even in the Bible, even if you're like a young earth creationist or whatever, you have to at least concede the world is round. Artemis 2 just went up and proved it, and you still deny it. Like, at this point, I think you're just choosing not to believe it. Like, that's the only I can't even pronounce my words right, because that's how much you guys are getting to me. Just stop it, okay? Stop it. Jesus' real name. His real name is Yeshua, which is the Hebrew or Aramaic version of Jesus. Jesus is more of like a Romanized or Anglicanized version of that name, so yeah, his name is Yeshua. You like it? Satan equals seraph. This is the identification of Satan as a seraphim. You know, one of those big, important angels we talked about. I mean, he was an important angel, he rebelled against God, and that's how he got sent down to hell, so we've already covered this, let's move on. Paul created Christianity. This is the theory that Christianity was a creation of Paul, and that originally Jesus' teachings were just an outgrowth of Judaism, and that Paul made it specifically into this new religion, which, like, I don't know, I think Jesus' teachings were already going to become their own, like, religion. But, like, even with Paul, Christianity still is, like, the natural conclusion of Judaism, because it's still based on the teachings of the Messiah that the Jews predicted. So, I guess in a way, Paul certainly helped create Christianity, but, like, I feel like how they're phrasing it isn't really the whole truth. Genesis is literal. Again, these are people who literally believe that what the Bible is saying for all of Genesis is literally true. And again, it's possible because God could do anything, but like, I also understand how people cast doubt on God literally creating the world and all of the modern animals in 6 days. I believe in evolution, you know, but like in a theistic way. I believe that's still the creation of God. Jesus said he was God. there are passages like John chapter 8, verse 58 that says, "Before Abraham was, I am." Again, I guess that isn't the most explicit way, but like, I feel like at this point I'm getting more into semantics than anything else. So, like, Jesus made it clear he was God. Like, that much we know. End of story. Old Testament prophecies. Along with that one from Isaiah, there are plenty of other prophecies of the Old Testament that foretell a Messiah will come. Now, not all of them explicitly allude to Jesus as much as Isaiah, but a lot of them definitely tell you that, yeah, a guy like Jesus is probably what we're looking for. I mean, again, there are a lot of Jews who will read this and still reject Jesus as their Lord and Savior. Like, come on, guys, the writing's on the wall. You're really sure this isn't the guy? You're really sure? Curse of Jeconiah. Jeconiah was a king who was cursed to never have any of his descendants sit on the throne of David again, and supposedly Joseph was one of them. But Christianity bypasses this contradiction because Mary was a virgin. She was conceiving her child with God, not with Joseph, so it bypasses the curse, so Jesus could still sit on the throne of David. So it still works. All humans are evil. This is an emphasis on total depravity and the original sin, right? Because of the original sin, we're all inherently evil. I don't believe that. I don't believe we're all good or all bad. I mean, we're all going to be partly bad because of the original sin, but the way they're saying it, they're saying that all humans, like, are inherently evil, that they are not truly good, when I don't think either is really the case. We have the knowledge of good and evil, so we could be both, is what I believe. And again, I've kind of discussed this already. Joseph had 2 dads. No, this is not some reference to homosexuality. We're not getting into that today. But rather, this is a reference to differing genealogies in Matthew and Luke versus, like, who's the real father of Joseph? Do you have, like, also a legal and biological father? Are these 2 different people? These are, like, contradictions, supposedly, based on different accounts. I think it's just, like, I just think maybe Matthew and Luke, maybe they just interpreted this stuff differently. Again, like, these are different perspectives on the same thing. So it actually makes more sense. Like, people say, oh, there are contradictions in the Bible. Like, a lot of them boil down to these just simply being different points of view of the same thing. So, like, wouldn't that make more sense than all these books literally saying the exact same thing? Food for thought, am I right? Heaven through faith. This is what we Protestants believe. If you just have faith, if you just have that relationship, which, like, is born through grace, you're already saved through grace, but justified through faith, that's how you go to heaven, okay? You don't have to do good works. You should do good works, because it helps build your relationship, but it doesn't mean you don't have it, that Jesus did still die for your sins, alright? He died for your sins, unless God is willing to listen, so welcome him in with open arms. 7 pairs. Now, of all the pairs of animals taken on the ark, supposedly only 7 were of clean animals, as they say. But that's just a variant reading in some translations of the Bible, so it's not really anything that interesting. Witch of Endor. The Witch of Endor was the spirit medium that Saul, the king of Israel, wanted to talk with about defeating the Philistines, and his prior attempts to consult with God through sacred lots had failed, but this also didn't work out, because what was summoned was like a spirit impersonating Samuel, and it delivered a prophecy of doom against Saul and his army, and as a result, they were defeated. And yeah, that's why you don't go see weird witches, people. Just talk with God yourself. Don't go to these kinds of people. It doesn't work out. Baal equals demon. Baal is one of many Canaanite gods, and supposedly he's the god of fertility. But he's seen as demonic according to Jews, and thus, by extension, Christians, because of the pogrom that Jezebel waged against Israel in order to push people away from God and push them towards this false god known as Baal. And this Baal is seen as demonic, like most pagan deities. Because after all, these pagan deities compelled Jezebel to attack the people of God, so maybe there were demonic forces at play. Matthew chapter 10, verse 34 through 36. These are Jesus' words about bringing a sword, not peace, which is often contextualized like division, but it's more like, hey, there are going to be people who hate Christians, and you got to stand up for yourself. You got to fight for Christianity. And I believe that, sometimes people just, they don't listen through words. Sometimes you got to fight back, but, fighting back is what you should do. Don't be aggressive if you don't need to, because that's not Jesus' way. But you do have to stand up for yourself and fight. Trinity is like the Tesseract. This is a modern analogy where the Tesseract from Marvel, which is this four-dimensional hypercube, it illustrates the Trinity's complexity. But I really don't see it. It's honestly worse than the water analogy. Just go back to the video where I explained it myself. That's probably the best you're gonna get from this video. Revelations hasn't happened yet. This is a belief that the events in Revelations haven't happened yet, and the world's gonna end way later. I believe that because I really don't think there's a whole lot to specify we're in the end times. Some people want to say we're in the end times, but I don't believe we're there just yet. I think we got some time. Lilith. Lilith is not in the Bible, but in Jewish folklore, she's considered the first wife of Adam. Before there was Eve, there was Lilith, and supposedly, unlike Eve, she did not want to be the wife of Adam and went off to be her own person. So as you can imagine, this leads to her today being associated with feminism, a lot of modern feminism, and it's not like Eve wasn't her own person. It's just that she also loved Adam and was willing to help him and serve him. She was great as a helper for him, and she didn't leave him because she didn't define her worth by whether or not she was independent or not. But if I go any further, then we're really going to touch on the issue of feminism. And again, I'm not going to do that in this video, alright? But that's what I will say about Lilith versus Eve. Sodom and Gomorrah were hit by a comet. Sodom and Gomorrah were two very wicked cities that were destroyed by God, and supposedly he used a comet to destroy them. That's what you see in a lot of depictions of it, that this big meteorite or a big meteor shower comes and destroys the city. Again, it's really just speculative, but it does look pretty cool in a lot of these paintings, right? Christianity is monotheistic. This affirms that the Trinity is not polytheistic. It's three people that God exists as. It's one God existing as three people. Again, I know it's a little complicated, but that's just how it is. Other gods are demons. As I said before with Baal, a lot of pagan deities are interpreted as demons. Again, particularly ones like Baal, who supposedly told Jezebel to pogrom the Jews, but I don't think they're all demons. I think some of them are just not real. Some people just barked up the wrong tree. Maybe they know it's not real and they're trying to make a buck or something. I don't know. I don't think it's right to generalize like that. So, especially in today, I don't think most people who call themselves pagan are demonic or anything. So, I don't think that's right. Jesus had a brother. This refers to James, who was supposedly a brother of Jesus, that they were siblings, or if not direct siblings, they were step siblings or whatnot. I can understand, maybe having cousins or something like that, but Mary was a virgin, and I do believe that she was a virgin all her life, so I don't think she had any direct siblings with Jesus. I think he was an only child. But he could have maybe had cousins, maybe some of Joseph's. I don't know what I'm saying, but I think maybe it's possible, but that is speculative. Some people interpret them as siblings. Some people interpret James as just like, a good friend. It's a little up in the air. Enoch never died. In the book of Genesis, chapter 5, verse 24, God took Enoch, and this is linked to his appearance in Hebrews chapter 11. And when they say took, apparently that doesn't mean Enoch died and was like taken to heaven. Like, God took Enoch and he was still alive. But I don't know, that's just interpretation stuff. Jesus was buried on Wednesday. This is a variant on the Passion Week where Jesus was crucified and buried on Wednesday, and thus, if 3 days pass, that would be Saturday that Jesus would rise, but that doesn't line up with Easter Sunday either, right? It should be Thursday if we're going by 3 days. But, I can understand the Wednesday and Friday people having that sort of idea. Judah and Israel. These, after Solomon stopped being king, Israel was divided into Judah and Israel. Two, separate kingdoms, right? It was like a civil war, right? But except they weren't really at war that much, though. But yeah, Solomon, you really dropped the ball here, didn't ya? Hell is dark and separation from God. Rather than being bright with fire, hell is supposed to be dark, and it's often viewed as a relational separation rather than literal fire, such as when Matthew talks about outer darkness, right? That's what hell is. It's definitely its own kind of torture, I would feel, so I guess there's some truth to it. Melchizedek is Jesus. Some people think that this guy whose name I keep butchering is like a type of Christ, but again, there's only one Jesus, so to equate him to Jesus, I don't think that's true. Years from flood to plague. Between Noah's Ark and plague, 400 years is the total of all the ages of all the important people between those two events. So 400 years is the chronological calculation. Genesis is multiple books smashed together. It's been documented by many scholars that there are multiple books that were smashed together to create the Bible. This is the documentary hypothesis. Unicorn equals rhino. Supposedly, some biblical writers, when looking upon a rhino, thought it was a unicorn because they write about this magical beast known as Re'em, and apparently it's like a unicorn. And I guess that's because both of them have horns. It could also be a wild ox or something like that, but, I guess that just makes sense because back then people thought all sorts of animals were these mystical beasts because they never seen them before. You should look at how, Marco Polo looked at a lot of Asian animals when he came across them. That definitely kind of backs the sort of thing up, right? Tower of Babel equals ziggurat. Supposedly, there are some Mesopotamian step towers called ziggurat that apparently were the Tower of Babel. But I don't personally believe it because that seemed to be the architecture of the time, and it's probably just a coincidence. Enoch equals Metatron. This is the belief that Metatron the angel, not Megatron the Transformer, right? Metatron the angel is what Enoch transformed into. But that's more of a mystical Jewish tradition and isn't specified in the Bible, but I can definitely understand that. Jesus' last words. It varies a bit across Gospels, but supposedly, "It is finished" is his last words. And frankly, what better last words is there to be, right? Before going up to heaven, that's definitely a great way to end it, right? Because what else can you say, right? Behemoth equals elephant. Just like with the unicorns and rhinos, some people from the Bible saw an elephant and equated it to this big beast called Behemoth. But again, that's just a bit speculative. It could have been an actual beast that resembled an elephant, just like there maybe was a unicorn, and maybe that's why unicorns are depicted in all these cultures, or I guess maybe not all of them, but some. But again, it's speculative. 13 tribes. Some people will include Levi or Araphim separately, and thus call them the 13th tribe, and that opens the door to plenty of other theories that, I might get into in another video, but probably not, because that's a whole other can of worms. Mark chapter 6, verse 14 through 26 recounts the imprisonment and eventual execution of John the Baptist. Supposedly King Herod was very fearful and had a lot of public pressure around this, and it all goes back to John condemning his marriage to Herodias, his brother Philip's wife, which John declared unlawful. Though Herod protected John because he recognized him as a righteous man, Herodias held a grudge and sought his death. Rainbow equals God's bow. This is an interpretation of rainbows as like God's war bow set in the sky to shoot love and happiness or something, I don't know. But, I saw rainbows more as just God's way of showing hope, because there was a rainbow after Noah's Ark saying, things are gonna get better, guys, just keep that chin up. But, it also kind of is a cool idea to equate it to like a war bow. We're gonna fight for happiness, That's kind of what the flood was, right? You had to kill a lot of bad people just for the world to reset and be great, Israel didn't forget Joseph. This affirms that, the book of Exodus didn't forget Joseph, that, he's still part of the tribe of Israel. They didn't intentionally leave him out or anything, which, if you read it, you could tell they didn't intentionally have, historical amnesia or anything. Revelations is happening. This is a preterist view, which isn't really that, in line with most Christian beliefs, but it's a belief that Revelations is happening now, that we are in the end times. And to that I say, I don't think we're there yet. I can understand with the world going crazy, but, the world's gone crazy before, so what's so special about this right now, right? Peter was crucified upside down. As I might have corrected back earlier in the video, the view is that Peter himself was crucified upside down, and Satanists decided to hijack it because they thought it was the upside down American flag as a sort of protest, right? That's not the same, guys. You just don't know anything about Jesus, and that's why he started this whole cult. So just do your actual research, okay? You might actually give up your crazy devotion to the embodiment of evil and come back to the embodiment of good. How can you unironically support this? Maybe they don't. Maybe they're ironic. I don't know. Revelations already happened. This is an even more extreme preterist view that in the first century, Revelations was already fulfilled, which, no, it wasn't. It was pretty clear that it was going to happen way far off. How do you even come to this view? Are you crazy? Of course you are. Preterism is full of crazy stuff, and you shouldn't believe in it. David 200 foreskins. This is a little touchy, viewer discretion advised. In the first book of Samuel, chapter 18, verse 27, David kills the Philistines, and he brings back 200 foreskins as proof. He circumcised 200 Philistines and brought the foreskins back as proof. I don't know what to say. I can't tell if that's either epic or disturbing. You decide. Earth's age doesn't matter. This is the view and one I hold, that the Bible does not require a young Earth, and that age is theologically irrelevant, right? I don't believe that the Earth had to be 6,000 years old to confirm Genesis and all the other stuff in the Old Testament. I think all of that could be true, and the world could be older than 6,000 years. It is finished. Again, those are supposedly Jesus' final words, and that signifies the completion of redemption, so that just makes even more great, right? James tried to kill Paul. Supposedly there are claims that James tried to kill Paul, though the context behind it all proves otherwise, right? James himself did not try to kill Paul. Rather, Paul was the target of a mob attack in the temple, and a lot of those people followed James, so they said James tried to kill Paul. Well, okay, it's like when people blame a YouTuber because their fans will attack someone who criticizes them. Like, that's not the same, guys. Like, James did not try to kill Paul. I don't think that's at all true. Though I still think that mob attack was horrible and definitely signified, like, you know, the ways in which Jews and Christians were being strained. Before Abraham was, I am. That's Jesus' statement, as I already talked about, and it echoes God's name in Exodus chapter 3, but, yeah, again, it's not explicit, but Jesus is definitely making clear he is God. Demons are real. What? You don't think they're real? Okay. Screamers and pranks aside, demons are definitely real. I believe in them. Again, as I said, the possessions don't look like The Exorcist, but they can happen. They can get into you and corrupt you. There are really bad people out there who get corrupted by these things. Alright? I felt their presence, and the Bible makes it pretty clear that these things, these entities, these messengers of Satan, they're alive and well. And you gotta be on the lookout. You gotta keep your soul together. You gotta believe in God, and He will protect your soul from them. But you gotta also help others and protect them from possession by keeping them connected to God. Because if you have that connection, that's the antidote. That's the exorcism. Put God into your soul, and it will clear out all the demons. That is how you get rid of them. Numbers 22, verse 22 through 35. This recounts the story of Balaam, who was a diviner hired by King Balak to curse Israel. His journey, of course, is intercepted by the angel of the Lord, standing as an adversary with a drawn sword. God's anger was kindled because Balaam was going. Despite God's earlier instruction that he could only speak what God told him, he suggested that Balaam's heart was set on the reward rather than the obedience. So, you know, it's definitely a debate, right? Like, if he's just doing this for the reward, is he as bad as if, you know, like, is that, like, worse than obedience, or is it not? You'd make the call. Again, you make the call. No one can commit the unforgivable sin. This is an interpretation that downplays blasphemy, right? Because, you know, supposedly it's not just as simple as saying, God, did I have a rough day at work, or something like that. Like, that's not what blasphemy is, I don't believe. But I personally believe that it's using, like, God's name for evil is what it is. And that I can understand being unforgivable, because not only is it a horrible action, but it pushes people away from God more than anything else, alright? All the colonialism and abuse of the church, all of it is the biggest affront to humanity, as it has further than anything else pushed people away from God while also being horrible in its own right. I can understand that very much. And I will say this, it's not something that no one can commit. People have committed it, and they will go to hell, alright? Because God cannot forgive that, alright? I know that sounds very tough and harsh, but committing sin in God's name is no joke, okay? Maybe some will disagree and say these people still have a shot at redemption. Maybe it varies based on what they do. But a lot of these people are going to hell. Hate to break it to you, but you're not getting saved. God doesn't have time for a person like that, okay? He just doesn't. I shouldn't be going on a rant here, I'm sorry. But I just feel very strongly about people who abuse their power in the church. I just do not care for that. You do not belong in the church if you believe in that sort of thing. If you think that you could use Christianity for your own sick benefit, then get the heck out of the church. I don't care who you are, get the heck out! But let's not allow one chewy bit to spoil the roast, shall we? Okay. Christianity in the Old Testament. This is, again, referencing all the ways in which the Old Testament predicts the New Testament and Jesus and whatnot. It shows the presence of Christ, right? That Jews were always meant to follow Jesus. And some didn't because they were skeptical, though I'm not too sure why, but I can understand in a way, maybe. But again, it's pretty clear that Jesus was present from the beginning, because he was always there from the beginning, alright? Because he is God. Free will. There's this doctrine in Christianity about free will, that God, especially after we ate the forbidden fruit, he made so that we could we could do specifically whatever we wanted. Not that we should do whatever we want, but that we had the power to do it whatever we want, that God didn't fully control us. Though that's often debated with divine sovereignty, predestination as well, gets thrown into the debate. We could do what we want, but if God has all the power, he can influence that, right? So are we truly free? That's sort of the paradox behind it. Revelation chapter 12. This is the chapter that describes the woman, the child, and the dragon. And that's often linked to Israel, Jesus, and Satan, right? Satan is the serpent, Jesus is the child of God, and woman is gave birth to the children of Israel in a way. That one's that's a bit of a bigger stretch, but that's sort of the allegory behind it. Fig tree. In the Bible, the fig tree, it symbolizes prosperity, peace, and security for the Jews, but it could also be seen as a symbol of judgment and unfruitfulness and even spiritual emptiness. This is particularly so when a tree has leaves but no fruit. Jesus even used this imagery when he cursed a fig tree to show that the tree has leaves but no fruit, just as some people claim to be religious, but they don't truly follow his way. This is the double-sided way of how fig trees can represent faith, and is probably one of the best analogies there is for what it means to be a true Christian, I believe. You have to live it, not just speak it, but live it. God's name. Again, I will not recite it, but the tetragrammation is something that is to be revered. I will again put it on screen so you can see it, but this is God's true name. Be careful when reciting it, because it's something to be revered. It's something that you have to keep sacred. Do not just throw this name out like God, right? Don't say that. Or it's too important. It is the name of God. Can you understand what that is? The God who created all this has a name. That name has got to be something special, right? If it's the name for God, right? This is all I can really say about it. So, whatever, I guess. finally made it out, didn't we? Sorry if I sounded a little hoarse toward the end. I guess my chest cold was finally acting up a bit, but yeah, I really enjoyed this. I'd really like to do another one of these if possible, but let me know what you think. Let me know in the comments section. All the music I use will be in the description, and if I made any mistakes, let me know, and I can't revise this video specifically, but, maybe I'll pin your comment or something. When it comes to future videos like this, I will add, though, that maybe I'll do some more singing in front of the camera stuff, but I really enjoy videos like this, so maybe I'll make more like those. So, in the meantime, we'll see what happens, and, thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate this. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time, and Ian Haas, out!